Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to dig in.
Awesome. So today we're tackling a topic that I know a lot of you out there are really interested in, especially if you're thinking about, maybe dipping your toes into the real estate market.
Yeah, buying a place, it's a big deal.
Huge. And for a lot of folks, condos seem like a really good option.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it can be super appealing, right?
Right.
Often a bit more affordable than a standalone house, especially in a hot market like we've got here. But
There's always a but.
always a but. And today's but is all about those hidden costs of condo ownership. Those sneaky expenses that could pop up and really take a bite out of your budget if you're not careful.
Yeah, you got to watch out for those.
Absolutely. So we're here to equip you with the knowledge you need to make smart choices, avoid any nasty financial surprises, and figure out if condo ownership is really the right fit for you. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's jump right in. One of the first things that comes to mind when you think about condo ownership.
HOA fees.
HOA fees. Beyond your mortgage payment, this is often the biggest recurring expense condo owners face.
Yeah, they're definitely a big factor to consider.
For sure.
Yeah.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty of how much they can cost, I think it's important to understand what exactly these HOA fees cover, right?
Absolutely. So basically, think of HOA fees as your contribution to keeping the entire condo community running smoothly.
Okay, so it's like a shared responsibility kind of thing.
Exactly. It covers things like, the routine maintenance of the building, keeping the hallways clean, fixing any problems that pop up.
Makes sense.
And then you've got landscaping. Keeping the grounds looking nice and tidy.
Curb appeal.
Yep. Then, of course, security, which is really important for peace of mind, especially in larger complexes.
Right.
And then there's all the fun stuff, those amenities that really sweeten the deal. Gyms, pools, maybe even a clubhouse or a community garden.
It's like buying into a lifestyle, right?
It totally is. And the HOA fees cover the cost of maintaining all those shared spaces and services.
Makes sense. But I've got to ask, I've heard these fees can vary a lot.
Oh, yeah. Location is a huge factor, like here in San Mateo County, for example.
Yeah, what are we looking at in San Mateo County?
You could be paying anywhere from like $400 a month to over $1,000 a month.
Whoa, that's a big range.
It is.
Okay, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. It's a significant chunk of change to budget for. But you mentioned earlier something about how super low HOA fees could actually be a red flag.
Yeah, sometimes. It might seem tempting at first, right? Like you're getting a great deal.
Yeah.
But it could mean that the HOA isn't planning very well for future expenses.
So what kind of expenses are we talking about?
Well, like, say the roof needs replacing. That's a major expense, right? Or maybe there's a big plumbing problem that affects the whole building.
Okay, those would definitely cost a pretty penny.
Exactly. And if the HOA hasn't been setting aside enough money in their reserve fund, well,
They're going to have to come up with that cash somehow, right?
right. And that's where those dreaded special assessments come in.
Oh, yeah. I've heard horror stories about special assessments.
They can be scary. It's basically an extra bill that all the condo owners have to pay to cover those unexpected or like major repair costs that the regular HOA fees don't cover.
So on top of the regular fees, you could suddenly get hit with this huge extra bill.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Ouch. What kind of amounts are we talking about here?
It can vary, but we're talking potentially thousands of dollars, tens of thousands even, sometimes over $20,000.
No way.
Yep. And it's often billed as a lump sum payment.
So not only is it a huge amount, but you have to cough it all up at once.
Pretty much. So it's definitely something you want to be prepared for.
Okay, so how do we protect ourselves from getting blindsided by one of these special assessments? What should we be looking for?
The best defense is information. When you're considering buying a condo, really dig into the HOA's financial records. Look at their reserve fund.
Reserve fund. Got it.
They should have something called a reserve study, which basically outlines the expected lifespan of all the major components of the building, like the roof, the elevator, things like that.
So it's kind of like a crystal ball for future expenses.
Pretty much. It gives you an idea of what big-ticket items might be coming down the pipeline and if the HOA is financially prepared to handle them.
Okay, so reserve study, that's going on my checklist.
Definitely.
All right, so we talked about HOA fees, special assessments. Those are biggies. But there's another piece of the puzzle here, right?
The HOA itself, how it's run.
Right. It's not just about the money, it's about the people and the management, too.
Exactly. A well-run HOA can make condo living a dream, but a poorly managed one, well, it can be a real nightmare.
What kinds of things can go wrong with an HOA that's not managed well?
Well, first off, you could see those HOA fees start creeping up, even if there's no real justification for it.
Yeah, good.
And then, because they might not be managing the finances effectively, you could be hit with more frequent special assessments.
Yeah.
And then there's the potential for just like a lot of drama and disputes among the residents, you know, disagreements over rules, how things are run, all that.
Condo wars.
Pretty much.
So what can potential buyers do? How do you check out the HOA, do your due diligence before you're in too deep?
Be proactive. Ask for copies of the HOA meeting minutes. Read those carefully. Get a sense of what issues are coming up, how decisions are made,
Okay.
and then look at their financial statements. How healthy are their finances? Are they transparent with their spending?
It's kind of like doing a background check on the HOA.
Exactly.
All right, so circling back to the original reason we wanted to dive into this topic, a lot of folks are interested in condos as an investment,
Right.
but with all these potential hidden costs. Does that make sense?
It can. Condos can be a great investment, but you have to go in with both eyes open.
Be informed.
Yes. Understand what those potential costs are, factor them into your budget, and choose a property that you feel good about.
Okay, so bottom line, knowledge is power. We've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about those HOA fees, what they cover, how much they can vary.
Yep.
We dug into those dreaded special assessments, how to spot the warning signs, and hopefully avoid them altogether.
Fingers crossed.
And, of course, we talked about the importance of really vetting the HOA, understanding how they operate, and how that can impact your experience as a condo owner.
Absolutely.
But beyond the financial stuff, beyond the numbers, there's another layer to think about.
Oh, yeah. Condo living is about community, too. How involved do you want to be? What are your expectations for how the community is run? That can really impact your overall satisfaction, even if the financials are all sound.
That's a really good point. It's not just about the money. It's about finding a place where you feel comfortable, where you feel like you belong. Awesome. Well, I think we've given everyone a lot to think about today. Hopefully you feel more informed and more empowered to make smart choices as you navigate the world of condo ownership.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. And remember, knowledge is power. Keep asking questions, do your research, and happy house hunting.